Welcome to the Economist in Your Ear podcast. Today, we're embarking on an exploration of a topic that's reshaping one of the most dynamic career paths out there, software engineering. We're going beyond the headlines of a recent piece from The Economist titled, "Superstar Coders Are Raking It In." Others, not so much, to really dig into what's happening. In the tech world, it's a story with dazzling highs and, well, concerning lows. And we're going to challenge some of the initial framing, I think, to understand the true complexities and what it means for anyone navigating this fast-changing field.
That's right. The article certainly paints a vivid picture, a clear split almost. You've got this tiny, almost mythical elite of AI innovators earning staggering amounts, while the vast majority of software developers seem to be facing a significant slowdown in hiring. But as we unpack the data and perspectives, you'll see the situation is far more nuanced. We'll definitely question some of the core assumptions, add in crucial context, and offer a much more comprehensive view of how AI is truly re-sculpting this profession.
Okay, let's break this down then. The article opens with stories that almost sound like tech fairy tales, doesn't it? Like Lucas Bayer, a former OpenAI researcher, reportedly joining Meta, and there are whispers of these $100 million plus packages for top AI talent. It truly presents a glimpse into a gilded club at the very peak.
It really does.
The piece highlights that at elite AI labs like OpenAI or even, high-frequency trading firms like Jane Street, where machine learning is critical, median pay can easily soar past $400,000 annually. And even at giants like Alphabet and Microsoft, it's closer to $300,000. It makes you wonder if I picked the wrong career path. But seriously, this kind of extreme compensation really changes the game for talent acquisition, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
What makes these specific individuals so incredibly valuable beyond just their technical prowess?
It's an excellent question because what's really fascinating here, while the article emphasizes a few hundred global geniuses, the latest data suggests the pool of truly high-earning engineers is actually wider than that. And it's not just about raw AI research either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Levels.ii, which tracks compensation, lists a surprising 1,600 U.S. engineers, with total comp of $500,000 or more in just the past 12 months.
1,600. Wow.
Right. So it indicates that while still small, the superstar pool is expanding. It's going beyond just the very tip of that frontier model research talent pyramid. It also encompasses legions of highly specialized infrastructure folks, compiler engineers, data pipeline specialists, at companies like NVIDIA, Oracle, or Tesla, who regularly clear $300,000 to $400,000.
Ah, okay.
These are often the unsung heroes, kind of building the complex scaffolding that enables the AI models. They're valuable because they bridge the theoretical with the practical, making AI scalable and reliable.
So it's not just an exclusive few hundred focused solely on cutting-edge AI model development, but also a slightly larger, yet still very exclusive group, people building and maintaining the foundational engineering that supports the entire AI platform stack. That median U.S. developer pay of, $184,000 across all companies really puts that top tier in stark perspective.
It does. It's a massive difference.
A massive gap.
Indeed, that median figure underscores the vast chasm. And that long tail of the industry is precisely where the most significant resorting is currently happening.
Yeah.
Which, leads us directly into the other side of the story.
Right. Here's where it gets really interesting, because for everyone else, the article paints a picture of a sharp downturn. It points to a historic slump in software developer job postings. The Indeed index showing a staggering drop, like more than 2/3 since early 2022.
It's a huge drop.
Yeah, and we've seen major players like Salesforce pausing engineer hiring, directly citing AI productivity. And Microsoft laid off around 6,000 roles, many in engineering, this past May. This feels like a very sudden chill after that whole pandemic hiring boom. And the data suggests it's much more than just a cooling off period. But is AI truly the sole culprit here, or is there more to this story?
That's a crucial point. Because while AI is certainly a factor, it's critical to understand this isn't solely a structural collapse driven just by AI. A significant part of what we're witnessing is actually a cyclical hangover from an extraordinary period.
A hangover. Okay.
Consider this. The Indeed index for the wider labor market, it's still about 10% above early 2020 levels, even as software jobs have plummeted. This really suggests that the tech sector's massive pandemic-era hiring spree, it's unwinding much faster, more dramatically than the overall economy. You've got factors like persistently higher interest rates, a muted IPO pipeline, and a new emphasis on capital expenditure discipline playing a huge role.
Right, belt tightening.
Exactly. For example, venture-funded startups, they traditionally account for maybe a quarter of developer demand. They've slashed their hiring budgets by a whopping 45% since 2022.
45%.
Yeah. So while AI is certainly accelerating a shakeout and adding pressure, it didn't single-handedly trigger this slump. It's more like adding a powerful accelerant to an already existing fire.
That's a critical distinction. So not just AI taking jobs directly, but also the unwinding of what was essentially a unique market bubble. But what about the argument that even if AI didn't trigger the slump, it's certainly accelerating it beyond a normal cyclical downturn, maybe making some jobs permanently redundant? It seems some companies are banking those co-pilot productivity gains, not just talking about them, especially with those Microsoft layoffs.
Absolutely. Think of AI as the accelerant, not the fire starter. This distinction is crucial for understanding what comes next. And speaking of productivity, the article highlights significant gains, citing Microsoft's claim that its Copilot AI assistant boosts developer productivity by 10–30%.
Right, especially on repetitive tasks.
Exactly. And then there's Dario Amodei, the head of Anthropic, who made that truly bold forecast, that AI could write 90% of code within 6 months.
Yeah, that one got a lot of attention.
It really sets an aggressive narrative, driving both hype and, frankly, caution in hiring. It even leads to that common misconception that many AI engineer roles are just, rebranded mid-level positions, not those coveted 7-figure gigs.
Right, so the idea is, well, we need fewer developers if existing ones can do more, and if AI can handle the bulk of the coding. But how realistic are those productivity claims? Especially Amodei's eye-popping prediction. Is the automation risk truly as imminent and widespread as some forecasts suggest?
This raises an important question about the timeline and the true scope of automation. While Amodei's 90% prediction is certainly attention-grabbing, it's kind of counterbalanced by Anthropic's own Developer Day slides, which show that even 30% of Claude-generated code still needs significant human restructuring and security hardening.
30% is still a lot of human work.
It is. And furthermore, early Copilot studies largely measured speed on boilerplate tasks, the routine stuff, not full-cycle software delivery, things like compliance, complex domain modeling, system architecture, and crucial on-call support. Those remain stubbornly human-centric.
Okay.
So while productivity boosts of, say, 20–40% are absolutely real and significant, they are a far cry from the 10x gains that would erase entire job families overnight. The real insight here, I think, is that critical thinking, integration skills, deep domain knowledge, they're now paramount, more so than just raw coding speed.
So it changes the role.
It fundamentally changes the developer's role from simply coding to becoming more like an AI orchestrator, or maybe an AI co-pilot.
So the idea of AI completely replacing developers is, for now at least, more sci-fi than reality. But it's certainly changing the day-to-day work, shifting the focus from simply writing code to integrating, refining, securing what AI produces. It's almost like the old sci-fi predictions are partially coming true, but with a twist. We're not just replaced, we're upgraded.
Maybe, yeah, if you adapt.
The real challenge is for individuals to figure out how to be part of that upgrade rather than becoming obsolete.
Precisely. It's about augmentation, not outright replacement, for the vast majority of tasks right now. Which leads us to conclude that the situation is far less about a simple split into 2 tiers, and much more about a broader resorting of the entire profession.
The resorting.
What does this resorting look like in practice? And what are the forces driving it?
That's a great way to frame it. So what are the key forces at play in this significant resorting that developers should be aware of?
Well, we can look at this through several interconnected forces, I think. First, consider the immense fixed costs of GPUs, the graphics processing units.
Right, the hardware backbone.
Exactly. These mean high leverage for foundational model labs like OpenAI or Anthropic. They're clear winners. Now, mid-market SaaS vendors, software as a service companies, they might face pressure if they rent rather than own GPUs. But this also creates new opportunities. Cloud providers, for instance, they could bundle compute with tooling, generating new demand for platform engineers.
The infrastructure people again.
Yeah, those who manage the complex infrastructure needed to run these models at scale. If you're looking at where the true leverage lies, it's with these GPU Goliaths and those who can manage their massive resources.
Okay, that's one force.
What else? Second, the enterprise adoption of Copilot-style tools. This will profoundly favor architects who can effectively integrate large language models into complex legacy systems.
So integration skills are key.
Very key.
All right.
This will likely pressure roles primarily focused on, say, ticket clearing or routine front-end maintenance, because those are the tasks most easily automated right now. However, this also carves out new, highly specialized niches. Think regulatory and security audits for AI systems, areas where human oversight and expertise become even more critical.
Makes sense. And the third force?
Finally, global talent arbitrage via remote work. It just continues to accelerate. This helps U.S. multinationals hire more affordably in places like India or Eastern Europe, which puts direct wage pressure on, say, Bay Area mid-senior developers.
The remote work effect.
Definitely. Yet on-site, safety-critical code, think autonomous driving, medical technology, aerospace, that still commands premiums. These are areas where cost saving from remote work is often outweighed by the need for close collaboration, strict compliance, and specialized expertise. It's a powerful push and pull.
It's a really complex interplay of forces then, creating new, highly specialized roles and shifting demand. Rather than simply eliminating it across the board, it really illustrates how the industry is adapting in multifaceted ways, far beyond just AI writing code.
Absolutely. The picture is far more dynamic than a simple binary of winners and losers. And speaking of dynamism, what do you think the Economist article might have missed? Or perhaps underemphasized in its initial framing? Things that are vital for us to fully grasp the situation.
That's a critical question. When we consider the breadth of information, what are the crucial blind spots or underemphasized aspects that might alter our understanding?
There are a few key areas that warrant much more attention, I think. Which additional data helps highlight? First, there's a significant geographic rift. The article largely overlooks this by focusing mostly on the U.S. market.
Right, it felt very U.S.-centric.
It did. While Bay Area median developer pay might have dipped slightly, median pay for senior developers in Bangalore, for example, actually rose 12% year over year.
12% increase. Interesting.
Yeah. So offshore teams aren't just substitutes for AI. They often act as complements. They get integrated into new globalized workflows. This global redistribution of work is a major factor.
Okay, geography is one. What else?
Second, we need to consider labor politics, or the lack thereof, really. We've seen the Writers and Actors Guilds successfully negotiate AI guardrails into their contracts.
Right, that was big news.
But no equivalent organized labor movement or protective framework exists yet in tech. Not really. You might start to see calls for professional licensing or ethics accreditation for developers in the future, which could put a floor under mid-career wages, much like in other established professions like law or medicine. This is a nascent trend, but potentially a powerful force for change down the line.
Licensing for coders. That would be a shift. And the third point.
And third, there are entirely new demand rebound vectors emerging, things the article didn't touch on much. Areas like edge computing processing data closer to its source, like in smart devices, privacy-preserving AI, which is becoming huge, and regulation tech, or regtech, using tech to manage complex regulatory compliance and risk.
Regtech, okay.
All of these require highly bespoke, context-specific code that current foundation models simply cannot generate yet, not reliably. These emerging fields demonstrate that human ingenuity still drives new avenues for growth and creates entirely new specialized roles, even amidst all these advanced AI tools.
Those are indeed crucial missing pieces that paint a much more complex and maybe slightly more hopeful picture.
So what does this all mean for you? Whether you're a developer, a tech leader, or just watching the industry. While superstar coders are indeed earning those eye-watering packages, the rest of the profession isn't simply marching off a cliff, it's resorting itself. And for the vast majority, the biggest immediate threat isn't that large language models will instantly do their jobs. It's more that firms will pause hiring while they figure out exactly which tasks to automate and how to best integrate AI.
The uncertainty pause.
Exactly. History tells us that after such significant shakeups, new specialisms always emerge. Much like cloud SREs, site reliability engineers, the folks keeping complex cloud systems running did after the cloud boom in the 2010s. The immediate focus for many companies is figuring out how to maximize their existing workforce with these new AI tools, which temporarily cools hiring, yes, but ultimately leads to new types of roles and new career paths.
So the immediate career hedge, then, is to strategically move upstack, thinking about orchestration, security, human AI teaming, or deep domain modeling, areas where AI still critically needs a human partner. It's about adapting and finding where your unique human skills can best complement these powerful tools, focusing on the higher-level problems that AI can't solve on its own.
That's the key, I think, adaptation and complementarity.
And this resorting isn't unique to tech, is it? It really makes you wonder. Beyond the tech industry, how will other professions navigate this type of resorting as AI tools become more sophisticated? What does it mean for any career when certain tasks can be automated? But the need for critical thinking, complex problem solving, and nuanced human judgment remains absolutely paramount. What skills do you think will become most indispensable in this evolving landscape?